Hi, thank you so much for participating in the Lily Mae Francis Foundation interview on depression. I'm going to start by introducing myself. I am Lynn Collins Maie, co-founder of Lily Mae Francis Foundation. And if you can tell me your name, your age, and where you reside.
Hello, my name is Stacie. I am 53 years old and I am from Georgia.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Stacie, for participating in this interview. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the questions, okay?
Okay.
What is your definition of depression?
My definition of depression would be when you are rejected. It's pretty much rejection, either a form of rejection from someone else or a form of rejection of an anticipation that you had or an expectation that you had of yourself not working out. Not necessarily in life situations, just anything. It would be a form of rejection.
Okay. Do you think most people experience depression from time to time?
Absolutely. We experience it even in terms of us not even knowing it. And when I say that, experience would be we kind of muffle or kind of put on a facade. It may be a day that okay, mentally we're thinking this is what I planned for the day. Given the fact that my expectation is to wake up and say, "Hey, I'm going to have a great day." Um, but as the day progresses, those things kind of change. But we always kind of talk to ourselves and say, "Okay, I'm going to make it a great day," versus let me get up and let it be fluid and whatever happens, happen. But it doesn't always work that way. So,
Okay. Do you experience depression? And if so, how do you cope?
absolutely, I do experience depression. Um, the way that I manage depression for me, it is to somewhat isolate myself. I get quiet. And those are the times that, during depression or anything that you're, challenged with, that you shouldn't silo yourself. You should be able
Not,
to,
or you should.
you should not
Oh,
silo
okay.
yourself.
Okay.
Shouldn't, you shouldn't silo yourself.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes I silo myself or, just kind of go off to myself to kind of regroup and think. Doesn't necessarily always have to require someone's input. But when I do that, it's more or less I've reached the peak at some point to say, let me manage it first before I allow somebody into that space to kind of, discuss what's going on.
Okay. Do you think enough attention and focus is given to mental illness and why?
Um, to your question, I don't feel that a lot of attention is given to mental illness because um, a lot of people don't know how to identify, number one, mental illness.
Hmm.
Um, we can say, oh, okay, this person just wants to be quiet. But if that person isn't open enough, or if you don't really know that person, how are we to identify it? Number one. Um, so first, I think education of trying to figure out what mental illness is first would allow more smaller groups, such as Lily Mae Francis, to be able to better assist people as far as governmental association or affiliation or engagement. Um, we still don't have enough qualified people. Yes, they're licensed on paper. However, um, there's still not enough attention in getting the correct people to facilitate helping others with mental illness.
Okay. So basically, not enough focus because of lack of resources, you think?
Correct.
Okay. All right. If you had a friend or a loved one experiencing depression or signs of mental illness, what advice would you give?
The advice that I would give to a friend and or family member, one, to just kind of see if they would feel comfortable with opening up about what's bothering them or what challenges they are having. Um, just to have to be a sounding board to that particular person as far as a first level. given the fact that I'm not um, licensed or experienced in that area to kind of go in depth with somebody, definitely offer up, let me see if I can, find a resource for you in that way.
Okay. Do you know where to find resources if someone was having a mental health issue?
My first resource would probably be to speak with their primary care physician first, just to kind of open up to make certain that, there aren't any current, illnesses or any type of medication that's, may be affecting them. And then provided if the resource that I, say, hey, talk to your primary care physician, perhaps they can kind of do the domino effect of saying, I had a discussion, with my primary care. They referred me to, a more licensed person or person, expertise.
Okay. And let me rephrase the question because I actually didn't phrase it the correct way. So, do you know where to find resources if someone is having a mental health crisis? That's
Oh,
what I was asking.
if they are having a crisis, I would actually have to, locate the local crisis center, nearest crisis center, based on the state and your county.
Okay. And of course, most people don't know, right? Because it's not readily available. It's not like 911. I mean, because that's the pretty much the number that we would all go to if someone's in crisis, right? I think that we need to society needs to do better to have resources, have that information available, right? Um,
Absolutely.
why do you think there is such a stigma attached to depression or mental health in our community?
I would say in our community, meaning the Black American community, is because we are so prone to one, I don't want people to be engaged in what I'm going through, or AKA my business, versus um, let me pray about it. And it's okay. Prayer is fine. That's fine. But at some point, you have to get to where who else can assist me through this issue?
Mhm.
You know, we primarily don't want anybody to know that I'm having an issue. We want to continue to allow people to feel like everything is great when it's not. So I think it's a great stigma on our community because we're just so prone to, nope, I got it, or nope, I don't want them in my business, so to speak.
So I heard a couple of things actually in that answer. So that provoked some thought from me. The keep people out of our business is a huge family thing that happens in our community, right? And so I think that that leaves us open to a couple of things: secrets and shame, right? And so I want to quickly touch base on the shame part of it. Do you think that um, if a person were identified with a mental illness in our community, that there is shame associated with it to not just the person that's experiencing it, but the family members as well?
Absolutely, because at that point you're thinking, I'm no longer going to be accepted. Here I am being challenged already mentally about whatever the issue is for me. And then I, take it to a family member or, whoever I try to express, my thoughts to. Yes, there is shame attached to that because, hey, this family is supposed to be great because of the expectations that we put on ourselves as well as our family as a whole.
Hmm. Okay. So my last question is, how do you think we can start having regular conversations as it pertains to mental health in general?
Such as the forum that that Lily Mae Francis is conducting, as far as having weekly or quarterly touch point points and bases on, hey, let's talk about it, just right off the whim. I think not only with formal you know opportunities that Lily Mae Francis is offering, just be a lot more open, be a lot more transparent, and not have that shame, stigma attached to it. Just be a lot more open and trusting of who you're, confiding in with your challenges.
So a lot more, I guess, opportunities, right? Family gatherings,
Yes.
opportunities to discuss how people are feeling. I think in terms of not just saying, how are you? And then allowing somebody to just say fine, and which is all we wanted, right? Really,
Correct.
right? Really, when you ask someone how they're doing, really wanting to know how they are doing, and create a safe space for someone to tell you how they're doing,
Yep.
without feeling that, I'm weak, or, I'm not strong because I'm having this issue. So,
And
okay.
then added to that, if you spoke in terms of a safe space, if I say, you say, hey, Stacie, how are you doing? And I start to, say my list, is the transparency there of you, like you said, being genuine about what I expressed to you of how I'm truly feeling.
Mhm.
And at that, okay, if I give you my laundry list of how am I feeling, what's your approach to helping me resolve that? How
Mhm.
do I do? Are you really, you ask me, but are you really ready to offer some assistance in my transparency to you?
And not only that, but am I qualified to offer you some assistance? Because, really, most of the time, what I found is when someone shares with me something they're going through, they're not looking for me to help them solve it. They just want me to listen to
Yes.
them talk about it, and be empathetic. And I mean, just a listening ear can do it most of the time. I guess that's the same as journaling, right? Because if you're writing it down, you're not really trying to get any good answer to how to solve anything. You're just getting it out, getting
Right.
those emotions out, right?
Abs-
And so I think that most of the time that's what we expect when we talk about them. So, okay. All right. Well, that was actually my last question, Stacie. I truly appreciate you taking the opportunity to participate in Lily Mae Francis's interview on depression, and I hope that we can circle back to you on some other interviews that we may have in the future, if that's okay.
That is okay. And thanks for having me.
All right. Well, you have a great day. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.